Hey guys, this is Heather from healthyveganrecipes.net. So I'm really excited to share today's recipe with you guys because it comes from this awesome cookbook that I have called Blissful Bites, which is by Christy Morgan of theblissfulchef.com. And I've found a perfect recipe in here, I think, for a post-Thanksgiving meal. It's a Azuki bean and Japanese pumpkin soup. Now the beans are called aduki, Azuki, Azuki. There are a few different spellings, but they're the little red ones, and you can buy them dried or canned. The great thing about aduki beans is that they're cleansing to the system, and Christy even mentions in the intro to this soup, the Japanese use azuki beans for their many health benefits, including improved blood circulation and reduced fatigue, detoxified body, skin, and organs, and a healthy digestive system. So, perfect way to clean out the crud from Thanksgiving if you had a bunch of treats and get back on track. Plus, it's super yummy and satisfying all at the same time. So as you can tell from that intro, this is a great book for healthy eating. I love her approach. She's somewhat macrobiotic, for those of you who know what that means, but basically she follows almost all the same principles I do, which is awesome. So to start off your soup, you're going to need those beans, and if you can't find aduki, then just go with some black beans. They'll be fairly similar. And like I said, you can use dried beans or you can use canned. Christy's recipe starts with dried beans, and that's what I've done today. But if you want to use canned, totally fine. Just rinse them and then get ready to go. For the measurements and the recipe, just head over to my site, healthyveganrecipes.net, and I will post the recipe from her book there. She was nice enough to let me share it with you guys. So, I've got the azuki beans cooked with a couple of bay leaves in there to get them flavored, and then what we're going to do is move on and add our squash. Now, this was labeled a kabocha squash in the store. It doesn't look like kabocha squashes I've gotten in the past. Perhaps it's just an orange variety, or perhaps it was mislabeled. But you can use any type of squash. Just go for a soft one. So if you can't find a kabocha squash, then try a butternut or honey nut squash. So we're gonna get this chopped up. Just take off the skin. Take the seeds out from the middle. You can roast those in the oven if you like, very nice. And get this cut into smallish cubes. All right, so there's my squash all cut up. And if you do sizes that are the same for the pieces, then they'll cook evenly. But what I actually like to do with this squash is purposely cut them slightly different. I mean, they're still fairly the same size, but if I have some bigger chunks, they'll stay more solid, whereas some smaller chunks will really get really soft and almost dissolve into the soup. And I just really like the difference in texture, but you want them roughly the same size. And then I'm going to stir them with my azuki beans that are cooked here. You can find directions. I'll post a link to directions on how to cook beans from dried, but again, you can easily use canned. And then to this, you're going to add some vegetable broth. And to be honest, what I'm adding is actually, I'm going to do water with some herbamere, because this stuff is sea salt with herbs and vegetables and some kelp. So it's basically like a veggie broth cube that you would put into water. You can also make your own vegetable broth. It's really easy. Just put some vegetables into a pot of boiling water, boil it for a while, let the flavor come out of those vegetables, and you'll have yourself a beautiful fresh vegetable broth. Really great for using up the ends of vegetables, so the outside of an onion, the stalk of broccoli, anything that you don't use normally in your cooking, save it up in a bag and make a broth out of it. Awesome. Okay. So you do want to have some type of flavor in here along with some salt. Mine is included in the herbamere, and it has quite a bit of salt, so I'm not using too much of that. But you definitely want some flavor because those beans on their own are pretty bland. So pump them full of flavor, and Christy's suggestion of vegetable broth, perfect. So put the lid on your soup pot, bring it to a boil, and simmer it for 20 minutes. All right, so 20 minutes and your squash should be starting to soften up. And then what you're gonna do is add some carrot. You're gonna chop up 2 large carrots, and those are some very large carrots, but I like it, so I'm good with it. Those are gonna go in for 5 minutes. And while you give your carrots those last 5 minutes, you can get the last little things prepared, which are some miso, which is a soybean paste, and some fresh parsley or cilantro, chopped up finely. So there's my parsley. I love that Christy gives the option of parsley or cilantro because I'm not so much a fan of the cilantro. And then I've got a little bit set aside as a garnish. And here's my miso. So it comes as a paste. And what Christy says to do here is to dissolve this in some of the vegetable broth from the soup. So just stir it up and get it so that it's dissolved. You don't want to heat miso too much, so we're going to add it at the very end with the fresh parsley because heat will destroy the natural enzymes in your miso and the flavor and nutrients in the fresh herbs. So both of those things best to add at the very end. All right, so get that miso and the fresh herbs stirred in there, and it's time to give it a little taste. Very, very nice. And that was just the broth. Okay, last seasoning is some pepper. Christy says to use white. I don't have any, so I'm using black. White is a softer flavor, so it mixes in here a little bit better, but black pepper will work if you don't have any red. All right, and the final little tidbit that I have for this soup is one of my favorite things about Christy's book. And I'll get into all of the reasons why I love it next week when I do a little cookbook review for you guys. But one of those reasons is that she has a whole chapter dedicated to incorporating sea vegetables into recipes. And sea vegetables are an amazing source of minerals, and they're something that we don't eat a lot because people don't know how to use them. So she gives a whole bunch of great recipes, one of which is very, very simple, and I've got it right here. It's just pumpkin seeds ground up with some seaweed, and I used kelp. I forget exactly what she had in the book, maybe dulse, but whatever type of seaweed you use, just grind it up with some pumpkin seeds, and then you use it as a condiment, so you can sprinkle it on top. I'm going to put it on top of the soup. It adds a nice salty, rich, nutty kind of topping. You can make variations on this, of course. You could use sunflower seeds, almonds, cashews, macadamia nuts, whatever you think up. Try it. It is really, really awesome and really, really healthy for you. All right, so that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this soup. Thank you, Christy, for letting me share it, and I hope you guys all appreciate how awesome it is. And stay tuned next week. I will post a review of her cookbook and tell you some more of the deliciousness that's in there over on healthyeatingstartshere.com. And this recipe is available over at healthyveganrecipes.net. All right, thanks guys. See you next time.